Welcome to the Regulatory Mix on YouTube. We are happy to have you view our channel.
Check out other episodes on various topics on our channel.
Now on to our show.
When an FDA warning letter arrives at a manufacturing facility, it triggers an immediate, high-stakes crisis for regulatory affairs professionals. Despite the anxiety it provokes, the document is an informal advisory notice. It does not constitute a final agency action, meaning a firm cannot sue the FDA over its contents in federal court. The letter's primary legal function is to establish prior notice. It creates an official record that the agency has documented a specific violation and communicated it to the firm. This record transfers the burden of sustained compliance directly to the firm's executive leadership, effectively removing ignorance of the law as a future legal defense. A warning letter functions as an escapable legal trap, providing the necessary justification for severe future enforcement, like product seizures or federal injunctions, if the firm fails to correct its course. The physical warning letter is an assembly of several distinct regulatory components. Its foundation is the Establishment Inspection Report, or EIR, the official narrative generated by field investigators detailing their observations on the factory floor. Supporting the EIR is the FDA 483, an itemized list of inspectional observations handed to management at the close of an inspection. However, field observations only manifest as a warning letter if they survive a highly choreographed, time-gated clearance pipeline within the agency. This internal network consists of three primary nodes: the Regional Program Office, the Specialized National Product Centers, and the Office of Chief Counsel. This internal architecture dictates the severity of the FDA's escalation, signaling the agency's intent well before the document ever reaches the firm's headquarters. The timeline begins at the Regional Program Office immediately following the conclusion of a physical inspection. Regional officials evaluate the investigator's EIR and compare it against the firm's preliminary written response to the 483 observations. Many companies operate under the assumption that acknowledging a problem and promising a fix will halt further FDA escalation. The agency's regulatory procedures state that promised or ongoing corrective actions do not preclude the issuance of a warning letter. Drafting a warning letter requires a finding of regulatory significance, violations serious enough to provoke enforcement action if left uncorrected. When initiated, the facility's profile in the FDA's e-inspect tracking system toggles to unacceptable, triggering an official action indicated, or OAI, classification. That OAI classification immediately disrupts operations, locking out the issuance of export certificates and freezing pending application approvals for new products. The OAI trigger is the first tangible consequence of the pipeline, commercially isolating the firm while the formal legal clearance process continues. From the Regional Program Office, the draft letter moves to a specific National Product Center. Center concurrence is mandatory when violations involve high clinical or systemic stakes. For instance, the Center for Drug Evaluation and Research, or CDER, must review any current good manufacturing practice failures involving active pharmaceutical ingredients. The Center for Devices and Radiological Health, CDRH, evaluates Section 502J charges, where a medical device is deemed dangerous to health. The Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER, evaluates critical blood product failures, such as the invalidation of viral marker test runs. There is a procedural exception for the Center for Tobacco Products, or CTP, which bypasses this routing to issue retailer compliance check letters directly. Center concurrence ensures that regional field observations are universally aligned with national scientific and regulatory standards before becoming official policy. Inside the center, regulators formulate the precise statutory charge that will appear in the final letter. Proving a Section 505 violation, labeling a product an unapproved new drug, requires a high evidentiary threshold. Section 505 demands proof of interstate movement. Investigators must document with shipping receipts that the finished, labeled product physically crossed state lines. Missing shipping receipts? The agency pivots to a backdoor charge under Section 502. This misbranding pathway argues an unapproved drug inherently lacks adequate directions for safe lay use. Thus, the FDA can enforce against products merely held for sale, bypassing interstate proof entirely. Precise statutory charging turns a field observation into an airtight legal trap, preventing corporate attorneys from dismissing violations on jurisdictional technicalities. The drafted center-approved letter now faces its final clearance hurdle: The Office of Chief Counsel, or OCC. OCC review is required when a draft letter involves novel, controversial, or sensitive legal issues. Procedural timelines govern OCC's review. Standard warning letters get a 15 working day clock. If OCC fails to respond to a direct reference letter in that window, the originating office receives presumed concurrence. Untitled letters, citing less severe violations, are placed on an extended 45 working day clock. The presumed concurrence rule allows the program office to issue the warning letter immediately, without waiting for any further legal feedback. If the OCC determines there is insufficient evidentiary support, they will flag the letter, stopping the clock entirely to force immediate policy alignment. This final gauntlet ensures the agency never issues a formal warning it is not prepared to defend in a federal court. After clearing the internal pipeline, the draft is signed and officially issued. The document is delivered directly to the highest corporate official in the firm, rather than local facility management. Simultaneously, a redacted copy is routed to the Division of Freedom of Information, or DFOI, and posted to the FDA's public internet portal. For publicly traded firms, this public posting creates immediate financial exposure and reputational risk. Upon receipt, the firm has 15 working days to formally respond in writing. Physical issuance activates the prior notice clock, forcing the firm to commit to a corrective action plan on the public record. Once caught in the pipeline, a firm's primary objective is obtaining a warning letter closeout letter. A closeout is never granted based on written promises. It requires verified action. The agency conducts a follow-up inspection to physically verify that the implementation of all promised corrections was successful. During this verification, the follow-up inspection must reveal no new significant violations of any kind. Upon success, the FDA issues the closeout and outgates the facility's e-inspect profile back to acceptable, lifting the commercial embargo. The warning letter clearance pipeline engineers voluntary compliance by cornering firms with irrefutable procedural rigor.
Thanks for watching our show.
If you like the show, please subscribe, comment, like, or share with a friend or colleague to keep the mix moving.
Thanks again, and have a great day.